Hello and welcome to the Men Do Talk podcast. This is episode 4 of our grief journey, and I want to say a massive hello to my colleague and friend Lee Barnett.
Hello.
And how are we today?
We are happy, I suppose.
We are thrilled,
We
right?
are absolutely ecstatic and over the moon.
This is a great time to do a podcast because how we are both feeling at the moment is sort of, I think we're at the zero tolerance stage at the moment. And I suppose that is a stage of grief, isn't it? It's the anger part of grief. And it's how you deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, you say the zero tolerance. It's crazy because I find myself sometimes just being so angry. So angry.
But what do you do to get out of that zone? Besides masturbating into a coma.
Yeah, we've all been there. I don't know. It's very difficult. Sometimes it's literally just walk out the room.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's, I don't know. I don't. I just let it fizzle. As in, I just let it just go away.
But I suppose a lot of men do try and sort of compartmentalize all that feeling and sort of frustration and anger.
Yeah.
And I suppose I'm the opposite. I one of the things I do to get rid of my anger is play football. And for me, playing in centre midfield and basically leaving every ounce of anger on the pitch has, done me okay over the years. I've got a bit of a reputation on the football pitch.
In what way?
For leaving in a late tackle, maybe.
But you see, that's you got to be careful because then.
As I said on one of my posts online, I've got a standing order with the London FA for my yellow cards.
Really? So, all joking aside, when you actually, if I were to look at that and critique it, if you don't mind.
You can critique away.
You've got to be careful because then if you're taking your anger at the world, the situation, what happened, and you're taking it out on innocence, forgetting the tackle they put in beforehand or the little hard elbow, then how is that different to maybe going out looking for a fight? I know it's not the same, but I'm just being...
No, I completely get that. I have a level to my aggression, and I'm still always good-humoured with it, but that people know that if they're playing against me, they know that I have a lot of vented frustration. And I suppose in recent years as well, especially after Maddie dying, they sort of kind of get it now. I suppose the 10 years prior, they didn't necessarily get it because they didn't know my background. They didn't know the story.
Well, were you the same then, playing football?
Well, yeah, because obviously every week I'll be frustrated.
Okay, sorry.
Like,
as I ask that, I suddenly realized, because again, that's how it's different to me. Because you had the normal dead. You had the not normal. So yeah,
it coincided.
Yes.
Maddie's birth coincided
Yes.
with me from going from a right wing to central midfield. In a weird sort of way, I actually dropped into central defence at one point. So I could use the analogy like that. It's the same with my business. I am like the N'Golo Conte of my team. I do all the operating, and all the strikers get all the glory and that sort of thing. But what credit do I get? So, but then, I've never won Player of the Season or anything like that.
No, but then that's also that's kind of football as well, isn't it? Is that
life is an analogy of football.
But also, you are kind of when you're 30, 40, 20, 30, 40, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Your life takes you on a journey that molds you into the person that you are.
Yeah.
You can't in the same way, if something really shit happens to you, that's going to affect you. It's exactly the same way as if something is really great that happens to you, it's going to affect you in a great, you can't have one and not the other. Yeah. You can't have a great life and not be one of a person of a shit life. It just doesn't.
Well, I agree. And I look at relationships of my friends and family, and everyone has their stories. There's guys that people I know, even in high society, people who are regularly in the news, they seem to live in this amazing sort of life, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
No.
Ultimately,
No.
we don't know what stories are going on, and you hear all sorts of stories. If I took another footballing analogy, and someone like Gary Speed had everything in his life going for him. Everything. He was one of the leading players in Welsh history. He was a manager of his country. He played most games in Premier League football, and then he committed suicide.
Yeah, I mean, I brushed on that tiny bit, I think, week 1 or week 2.
Yeah,
when
about
it's that,
the goalkeeper.
Yeah, no, also, when I mentioned the coach or manager, how all these people, you can have beautiful life, beautiful house, beautiful family, you're earning great money, and suddenly, his wife came back and found him hanged in the garage, wasn't it, or something like that? And it's like, and still to the day, actually, we've never found out.
But these people are, in my opinion, people are sort of suffering in silence, and it's something. The reason we're doing this is to get men talking, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be about losing a child. One of the other things that I've brushed on previously is, divorce, and how...
Or marriage.
And marriage. And how... both together. I mean, I've been through that whole journey, and you haven't. You ended up staying with your wife. I ended up separating from my ex-wife. And
ended up staying with my wife. It sounds like it's a chore. Not that it is. It isn't.
It's the first time I've been lost for words this whole time.
I'm
joking.
Not, no.
I'm joking. No, but it is, and we are on very different journeys, and that's why, in a way, even with business, you sometimes select a business partner, and that business partner can have a very different mindset to you, but it helps you to sort of bounce off each other to a certain degree.
To a degree,
and for me, it's all part of this journey that we're on. If you take Facebook as an example, or one place that I don't really like social media, because it's all about it. There's a lot of gloating that goes on, and it's all about little Jimmy, because I can't really think of a real name, but little Jimmy who's run the 100 meters in a record time. That's brilliant. I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. But then it's like, in their world, if little Jimmy had a bee sting and then they put it on social media, everyone's like, oh, poor little Jimmy. Oh, it was 200, 300, 400 likes. I put on my daughter died. I get 50 likes.
So this, right, yeah, but, okay. No. But what you've...
I didn't want likes, but
No, it's acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It's someone, because the whole like thing is the whole, I acknowledge what you've just said. I'm going to put a laugh, I'm going to put a tear, I'm going to put, whatever it is. But ultimately, it's just an acknowledgement. And again, for anyone posting or saying, that's the whole dopamine rush, isn't it? It's that someone has gone, I've just seen and I've just acknowledged you, and you go, yeah, great. I had it because every year, I can't remember when I first started, I started putting on the anniversary of her death and her birthday. I'll put a something.
So it was recently the anniversary of Madeline's passing.
Yeah. And that would have been 17, 18 years. No, I forget. 2005. It's 23 now, isn't it? So that's, my God, that's a lot of years, isn't it?
But then you do feel obliged in a way to sort of commemorate both on Facebook, don't you?
Yeah, but the reason I do is it's actually not for me. It's not for me because I remember. You want other people to
not forget.
Not that they should, but then it all comes back to the anger a bit, because you.
But but for me, from my own.
So do you
thinking,
do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But from my own thinking, part of me is saying, is this a cry for help?
So whenever it's funny, because
Well,
whenever
not
I
funny,
do
but-
that, no, it's a whatever the word, I never forget.
That's funny.
Whenever I do it, I do ask myself, why am I actually doing this?
Correct.
Because
30 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do that.
no, not at all.
You would have suffered more in silence, if anything.
Absolutely. I do get not angry because I control myself, because I realise it's pointless getting angry. You can't get angry with someone because this year they haven't gone, I saw it. I've liked the fact that you have shared it, and I'm with you. I shouldn't get angry with them that they don't, because you start getting into the whole algorithms and they might not see it. You know, it's not, and you can't expect them to have a note in their diary going, oh, by the way, make sure you mention something. No.
Well, I forgot your birthday because I didn't look at Facebook on a specific day.
Yeah, but I don't know. Look, I love this anger. I love it. I do like it when people say to me, happy birthday, bro. Hope you had a great day, you know, and all that sort of. But if it wasn't for Facebook telling them, no one would go, Lee, have a great day, my man. No one gives a shit.
No.
They don't.
Give a shit.
And when it okay, so on the whole anger thing, that's something I always have a problem with. Is I don't do cards for birthdays or anniversaries. I don't. I just do not do it, and I don't do Facebook birthdays. I love it when people say happy birthday, but I don't
You set
do
a
it
precedent.
back.
You set a precedent, yeah?
I just don't do it.
I mean, this goes on from that, and that is how people react to the post. Because, I mean, in our faith, the phrase, I wish you long life, I've never quite got to grips with that phrase. And apparently, it's only a recent phrase. And I learned that in Maddie's passing.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently, it's not what, religious people say, from what I understand. It's only something that's come out in...
What do they say? Do they say anything?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not...
Or do they just give one of those?
Yes. I know.
Yeah,
but the point is that you look at the post and it's almost like they don't know what to say. So the easiest thing to say is "I wish you long life."
And it is, when you look at it like
That's
that,
just
it is a bit of a
perspective on it.
bizarre thing to say. You're going through, especially because you're suffering the loss of a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a child, the immediate the immediate kin. And you're feeling awful. You're the lowest of the low. And the last thing you want is someone to go, wish you a long life. What, you want me to remain like this? So to me, I've never quite understood it. But then also...
But that's why, that's why in a way that now when I respond to posts, I literally just do a purple heart.
Or I do, my thoughts and wishes are with you and your family.
Yes.
Just as a kind of... I'm thinking...
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I wish you long life. Or I'm not going to say I'm sorry for you. I'm just going to say, but then that's sort of sorry. I know you want to say, but it's also men. We want to heal. We want to solve problems. When actually a lot of the time we should just be, I'm listening. I'm thinking. We don't have to try and solve a problem. We don't have to go, do this and you'll be fine. No. Just listen. Just empathise and
Even look. I mean, it also, it's quite an easy way out, Facebook, because it's sort of like, or social media, because it's like, okay, I've put it on there. I don't need to give my mate a call and see how you're doing.
Oh, yes, yeah.
On today. I get a few calls from a few mates, but not everyone.
Oh,
and that's
don't.
not a problem. But that's the way it is. But the purple heart for me, and the reason I use purple for the Men Do Talk, it means honourable. It's the Purple Heart, right? In the American Army, it refers to honour. You're an.
Can we have a
Yeah, but it works for what this is. We're honouring our daughters by doing this thing, and for me, I just find that social media, while it's great in certain elements of getting messages out there, it also has this sort of ability to make people lazy, and sort of. It frustrates me. I mean, I never forget, the guy who, when Maddie was born, we were best friends for many years. And then Maddie was born and I didn't hear from him for 10 years. Mm. Turns up at the funeral, says, let's meet for a coffee. I told him to go fuck himself. Mm. And for me, that is the epitome of how people don't know how to deal with things. And I prefer to have those people out of my life and just move on with my life without those negative forces, those triggers in my life. And there are a lot of triggers that cause my anger. And what I've learned through the grieving process is by blocking those triggers out of my life, it makes my life easier. However, some of those triggers won't leave my life as easily as I want them to.
Like
my home, the house that Maddie passed away in. I don't like going back there.
These offices,
Yeah.
I was working next door when I lost Madeline.
So it sends you to a space.
Every time I come in this building...
Yeah. And it hits
But you didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
Every time. The office next door where that's where I was.
Every time I have to go and collect my children, I have to go to my old house and I have to remember. And it's not that I don't want to remember Maddie.
No,
but I want to remember it as a memory.
Yeah,
and I want to remember the good things.
Yeah.
And what's happening is I'm going into that house. Sometimes I have to go in. I'm going into her old bedroom, which was downstairs, and I still see the marks on the floor from where the paramedics live on the floor, and I still see. I have a picture I took a day after Maddie died, and a couple of months after Maddie died, when we got our new dog. I've got a pic. We gave the dog to the children in her bedroom as a sort of commemoration, I just want it out of my life. And in divorce, it's a very difficult process.
But then, unfortunately,
it's symbolism. It's symbolism of what we've been through. Part of me would quite happily, if I didn't have two other children, pack up and move overseas.
So the one thing that's stopping me moving overseas is because Madeline is buried here. And I couldn't, even though I only go there twice a year, I would struggle to leave the country because I feel that she's here. Although, that's not quite anger, but that goes on. I mean, it's all forms of anger, and in a way, it's like, for me, I go overseas on business quite a lot, and I always take Maddie's passport with me. Really?
Yeah, because I know she's travelling with me. And even though the passport's out of date and she wouldn't get into the country.
Well, yeah, obviously.
It's always.
But then also,
it's with me today.
Don't you ever worry that you'll lose it?
No, because I always put it in a place where I know I'm not going to lose it.
Okay.
I may lose it, but that to me would then become a symbolism, some sort of symbolism.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens with me. It's sort of like everything happens for a reason, and if this chain that I wear every day, which has got a handprint of Maddie. The camera may have better pick it up, but it's got a handprint of Maddie the day she died. And again, it goes with me everywhere. If I lost that, then I would probably say, okay, I'll get another one. But secondly,
there has to be something inside of you as a mature, thinking adult that these things sometimes do get lost through whatever reason. Or the chain might snap and you might not. And you have to be realistic and go, all right, I've lost it. It's not nice, it's not pleasant, but you can't actually be angry with...
The band that I lost on my hand, that fell off her hand when she was passing away, it broke maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, around the same time that I met my new partner. So how did I connect those two dots?
I don't know.
I've moved on to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I found someone new in my life that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
So that's how I interpreted that at the time.
That's fair enough. And that's
yeah.
You do that.
But for you, and I want to talk about you because I like to talk about myself, you may have noticed. For you, you don't look at it the same way I look at it.
Well, no, because we look at things differently because we are two different people.
Yes. So, I mean, you got, going back to the tattoo.
Yes.
And we brushed on this in the first episode. You said to me, I got the tattoo for a different reason. I talked about the main artery connecting me to the heart and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What was the reason?
Well, it was similar, except it wasn't exactly the same. I got it there because it's close to my heart. Same way like when we later fill in, you have to fill in there because it's da-da-da-da. So it wasn't anything.
When was the last time you laid to fill in?
When was the last time I laid to fill in? That long ago. Why?
I just can't remember.
But I had to.
I don't think I've ever done it. Maybe for my bar mitzvah.
Well, I was at a Jewish boarding school, so we used to have to later fill in every morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I probably still know actually how to do it. Anyway.
But I mean,
so I got it there. I actually got it there because it's close to my heart. That was the main reason. I didn't get it anywhere else because I didn't want it to be in people's face. There you go, a tattoo there. I never wanted to do that. I was in children's television at the time, so I was a little bit. It was towards the end of my children's television career. Not that I thought it was going to be the end, but you know what I mean. It's sort of. So I wanted to be careful because, as well as an actor, you don't want it visible everywhere and I didn't want to throw it in people's faces. I wanted it to be there, so it's with me. But people go, oh, what's that? As opposed to a there or a. Do you know what I mean? And but it was definitely
that one there.
Yeah, but people, people have them on the name
on your lower lip.
Yeah, Ian Jury. But people, have names all over the place, and I didn't want to because I just didn't necessarily want to throw it into people's faces.
Well, that was it. And then the other week, I have to tell you the story quickly. I was playing Monday night football, five-a-side football, and first game of the year where I was wearing short sleeve, and. One of the players comes up to me and he goes, "Oh, you got a Hebrew tattoo on there. Do you know what it says?"
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it says my late daughter's name."
Oh, God.
And he just didn't know where to put himself.
So this is, do you know what? The thing is
I had to pat him on the back and say, "Look, I'm don't worry."
It's that shotgun moment, though, isn't it? But I've always been a believer, though, because I had something similar. Bless him. He knows who he is. If he watches this, he might not. Doesn't have a filter. Lovely guy, doesn't have a filter. And when we were working, he saw that, and he came out with something like, "Oh, what's that a name?" Yeah. "Oh, is that like a girlfriend or something like that?" And I'm like, no.
They're on your ass.
Yeah, it's one of my kids or something like that. My daughter, and I could see someone else in the same room when we were working, looking at him, sort of going like that.
Don't shut up.
Give it. I could see her giving him the eye. He didn't fucking notice, and he came out with something like, "Oh, I said to my daughter, how do the other kids feel about her name being on there, something like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." And he came out with something else. I said, "No, it's my daughter that actually died." And to which the friend went, "I told you." He goes, "Well, I didn't." And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, and it's the same with what happened to you, is that why, if you've got a tattoo like that, you just think. But people don't, and there's 7 billion people in the world, and there's a lot of people that don't think. No.
And you can't blame people for that.
But it is an excuse to sort of be, yeah, it's my daughter that died.
Well, blokes act in a certain way, and they try and act laddish in those situations. And it's like the school bully, isn't it? It's like, he's the one who's got the confidence issues, because he's taking it out on other people. That's how you interpret a bully to a certain degree.
Not always. Some are just cunts.
Yeah.
But it's true. Some are just. We can't always just say, they've got issues. Some are just wankers.
But let's go back to that feeling when it first happened, and you would have people sort of commenting maybe on the tattoo or other things. Did you get angry at people's reactions?
Depends who it was. I got angry at my mother's reaction because her reaction was, I'll do this again. When I first showed her, it was like,
yes, it's like my daughter wants to get a belly piercing, right? It's like
my daughter's already
fuck
got
off,
one.
you're not
yeah,
having one.
yeah, my daughter's already got one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's, yeah, it was, and I was really angry with her because I'm like, how dare you be angry because
She's your mother.
No. But how dare you be angry that I've got my daughter's name on the inside of my arm to remember her?
Did she go on about the whole you can't be buried in a cemetery?
Right, so I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
Now, I might be totally wrong, but again, I've heard that's
It's a load of bullshit.
It's all to do with, I think, the Holocaust.
Yeah.
This is what I've heard, that because we all had numbers there, so it's got nothing to do with...
No, nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with anything.
No.
It's just, it would be, okay, but it's not... Which, again, it's that...
Do you know what I said to my rabbi? Cut my arm off. If I'm dead, it doesn't matter, does it?
So, this is all related to the whole anger when it comes to funerals and shivers or lavoyas. Is lavoya a shiver or the funeral?
Lavoy is the funeral.
Okay, the shiver is just a shiver. Okay.
Well, that's why it's called a shiver.
Well, then why isn't a funeral just called a funeral?
Because lavoya is Hebrew for funeral.
And what's the English version of shiver?
Shiver. Mourning.
But seriously, it's like
awake.
But it's not awake because awake isn't a Jewish. Unless awake is.
It's the interpretation. It's like a bit like your Christian name's Lee and your Jewish name is Lechim.
Aryeh. Anyway, so what I wanted to say is, I've always
How'd you
been
get Aryeh from Lee.
Aryeh ben Yom Ephraim ben David Yecheskel.
Of course it is.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the only bit of Hebrew I've ever heard him speak.
Lama. No, so I've always had a belief, or my view is that when it came to funerals or shivers, so shivers is your in the Jewish religion, you have between 1 and 7 nights of mourning, sitting shiva, and all the immediate family. So it would be the brothers, the sisters, the children, the parents. They all sit on low chairs. I think it's because it's closer to
They're primary school chairs.
They are primary school, but they're to be closer to the ground, and also so you can see that there is a difference.
You can see the dog shit across the floor when the people walking.
Those are the ones. Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah. Oh my God, look at that. Yeah, those are the ones that are sitting shiva, that are in mourning, and those are the ones that you would go up to, or one would go up to say, "I wish you a long life," and all that sort of stuff.
And you have to eat dodgy food as well.
It was good food.
An egg. No.
Do you?
Yeah. In United Synagogue, you have to eat some weird
and
stuff.
cover all the mirrors and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah.
But and this is another of my kind of, it's not my anger things, but it's a similar thing. So I used to have this thing, if I was, say, coming back from work and you're going to someone's shiva, and say someone go, oh, maybe you should get in like a suit and a tie and a trout. No, I'm going to pay my respects. And I use, when people came to be with us, okay, within reason, I don't want them turning up in their pajamas or looking absolutely like absolute shit. There's a certain amount. But if you want to, I'm not going to judge you because you're coming wearing jeans or wearing a shirt or wearing a t. The fact that you have come to show me a bit of respect, I'm more than happy about. And so I get quite angry if people sort of comment, like if you're going to a shiva or something, could have,
But I think what you're going, in my mind, where you're heading towards here is what is right and wrong, and what is taboo and what isn't taboo to a certain degree. And for me, what we are doing here is actually to a level controversial, because we're talking about very stereotypical things. And to give you an example, when I was DJing at bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs, everyone, we go from the 1980s where we're all wearing bow ties and, to wearing trainers, and you got 50-year-old men wearing trainers at a bar mitzvah, not today, and it's sort of like, well, because they're doing it, you've got to do it. But I never quite know who they are. Who are these?
Oh no,
people?
they. This is a whole. Who is they? They say who is they? It's experts on that field. I don't know.
And it's sort of like we sort of, because of social media, we tend to all follow these sort of these patterns. So, like if we go back to the Facebook thing, one of the things that really angers me, and I don't mind saying this, it's people who put posts up and repeat the fact that every week it's their best friend and how amazing they are. And they find some archive photos and they put them all together. I put a photo online on my dad's birthday yesterday.
I saw. Was that you? Was that you, little skinny you?
No, that was my brother. Thank God. I wouldn't put myself on there.
Okay, I saw it.
But the point is that, I just don't see why I have to follow that trend.
Don't
almost.
have to. No, you don't.
And I almost feel that today we've become this sort of, part of my anger is we've all become sheep on a conveyor belt to the slaughterhouse to a certain degree. And what we're doing is we're sort of following sort of the way we need to be perceived. But then people don't actually understand, well, what is really going on in our heads.
Can I make a suggestion, which I have
Stop
tried?
looking at Facebook. I went off for 3 months.
Right, so
but I missed loads of birthdays.
Yeah, you forgot mine, you bastard. No, so I do like social media. I like being able to.
It's great for business.
It has been good for business for me. It's also been good making friends, some friends. Getting into contact with friends that I haven't been in contact for years, and it's very different to, hey, how's it going? Yeah, fine. All right then. Yeah, bye. All right, yeah, see you. Bye. You don't have any of that because you can literally chuck a comment, funny laugh, get on with your life, and I do like that. But what I was doing is I was getting involved. I can say this, we're talking about anger. I was getting involved with stupid people, and stupid people make me angry. I don't claim to be perfect and the most intelligent person in the world, but there are
really stupid.
But there are some really fucking stupid people out there. And what would happen is you would get involved with conversations and stuff like that that was just stupid, and you'd say something and people would go, they'd come out with a comment and call you, and you'd get embroiled in this shit. And I was speaking to a very good friend of mine, and in the end I was like, you know what, you're right. I'm going to stop actually with the majority of this because it's not worth it, because I was getting more and more angry. And I stopped. I stayed on Facebook, but I stopped with a lot of this getting involved in answering people's questions because they've got an issue, and then they're just going to come back with stuff. And do you know what? I stopped. Brilliant.
But I think
so my anger did go down.
Yeah,
a lot.
And I don't want to get social media wrong. As I said, it's brilliant for business and it's brilliant for getting this out there. If I look at how we've grown already on TikTok, and
we need to grow more.
And
Men do talk.
But if I then look at the percentages of people following me, I'd have to say 90% are women, and that is a major question. Why are men not using? And it's the same with Instagram. So it's not like it's just because TikTok are using that. And I haven't got a lot of followers. I'm in touch with someone who we're hoping to get on a podcast very soon out of America, who's got 200,000 followers on Grief.
But then
and he said, I think he said something like 70 to 80% were women that followed him.
That's crazy.
And
it's funny because I've spoken.
We're too proud.
Yeah.
We're too proud.
Yeah.
We're too. We just don't want to. We don't want to share our emotions. We don't want to cry. When I think, anger. Well, Lee over here, he likes to cry every 5 seconds. But for me, part of my anger, going back to the football analogy, my crying is, I'm going to tackle that player. I find it very difficult to let go. There's only been 1 or 2 occasions, where I've literally just had enough the last couple of years. And, it's very difficult to get those tear ducts going. But I know when they do go, that will be it. And I'll probably be in a really dark place at that point. I need to keep going. And
it's funny. It's funny because by you saying that, it shows actually one of the differences between you and me, in that maybe it is because I'm a bit more open to crying. It's not that build up.
But you're not a wuss.
Fuck no. Yeah, fucking what you trying to fucking say? Fucking say.
You want some?
Yeah, you want some? No, but you know he lives up the road from me.
Who?
The Wheelstone Warrior.
Who?
That's, you know, you want some? You want some? Who are you? You want some? Yeah, you know the anyway. No, but because I believe I'm a bit more open to crying. I don't have the built up volcanic pressure of not crying, and then one day, bosh, I'm going to be in a dark place. Whereas, no, but I don't cry every day, and I don't cry for no reason. It will be it'll be something point if I'm watching something, but it's not an everyday thing. But why don't you ever? Do you ever? Or does it have to be a final momentous? I mean, I don't cry when I go to the grounds.
No, I don't, and I don't because I don't feel when I go to the grounds I actually connect with Maddie. I feel I connect with Maddie spiritually. By talking to her. But I don't know if that's me going mad or I'm actually talking to her. People will say, "No, you're talking to her."
So that's
the spiritual thing that we'll talk about another time.
Yeah,
but it's another thing. But what I find is that I think I get angry when people turn around to me, and even my current partner did it. You know, I went away recently, and she turned around and said, "Just switch off."
Right. So I just want. So okay. So again, right. So what I wanted to ask you is, So. Are you like me in that there are triggers. There's triggers with everyone. But I mean, I don't know how much is getting older, because that has to have a play. But I find I have triggers that are triggered quite quickly. I think I was probably in a shop recently, probably all the bloody time actually, and I'll ask something and it gets met with this
blasé answer.
Oh, indignant or whatever it is, or non-understanding of some very basic English, I know, question or something, and they look at you like...
You go from 0 to 100 within a couple of seconds, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't reach across the counter and grab them, but I do. Yeah, I do get angry. Whatever the angry, I do. I get very short. That's my trigger.
I think one of the triggers is wokeism, isn't it?
Oh,
and it's like,
please.
And you know, it's, you know, I was speaking to an insurance company the other week. The other 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and I basically said, no, what have I? For the love of God.
I say that a lot. Oh, please tell me what. Oh no!
For the love of God.
Go
Do you know
on.
what she said?
Oh,
I won't be spoken to like that, and she hung up.
I would have been apoplectic with rage. I would have been. Oh my God!
I got a parking ticket last week.
Sorry, did she really say that? I won't be spoken to like that.
Yeah. And
that's not wokeism. That's just being
a twat.
Yes, because wokeism is
And I had I got my speeding ticket the other day, and I said to my partner, I said, you know what? I'm going to turn around to the police and say I don't identify as this driver.
I won't be spoken to like that.
Or I was going to, it's like the post I saw online.
For the love of God. Oh, I won't be spoken.
The one online, the two old women sitting in the shopping centre with their dog, and the security guard says you're not allowed dogs in this shopping centre, and they turned around and said, well, he doesn't identify as a dog, he identifies as a little boy. The security guard had no answer. That's the world we live in, but that's the trigger there. I can feel it raging inside of me, the anger inside me.
But
and what am I going to do? I can't do much. I can talk about it here because this is freedom of speech, right? That's what the great thing about podcasts is. But ultimately, am I going to change things? Probably not. Does it make me feel better talking about it?
So
yes, it does.
So you were saying about men. Obviously, we are. You said it a few minutes ago. Just we're too proud, or we're too. And I was talking to a couple of people recently, and one who I really want to get in a room and get on a mic, because I think the things they have to say are fantastic. Their words to me were, I don't want to say any. I don't want to say this stuff on the air because I don't want people to think certain things, or they don't need to hear what I'm saying, or I. And
Who gives a shit?
Or my opinions. He goes, people might think my, and I'm like, but there's nothing wrong with your opinions. That's the whole point. It's your opinion. You've got a lot to talk about men's depression and mental health and what he's been going through and what some of his, family. You've got every right to say this, and don't be frightened of what people are gonna think about you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. People talk about us all behind our backs anyway.
Well,
so
it's the same for me, and I was like, when we're going through the process of thinking about this podcast, I think my brain was like, the first thing that came to mind is, what are my family going to think of me? And then it was like, I suppose after speaking to my therapist, he's saying, but what you're doing is a good thing, because you're trying to reach out to guys to share their emotions and their feelings. And that is something that we as proud men don't do, is share our feelings and emotions.
Yes.
And I can't work out, I can understand why we don't want people talking, but ultimately everyone has their issues in this world. Everyone has their problems. And I'm not disputing that, but I just want people to understand how I feel and how other men are feeling in a very difficult world.
Yeah. It's very difficult because men are, I think, constantly, not everyone's judged, but men, going back to what we were saying before, is we're supposed to be this alpha male, strong, brush yourself off, come on, chin up, man up, all that kind of stuff. And we're supposed to be this tower of strength. And
ultimately, we've all gone into this world with this new world, post-COVID world, where everyone is thought about. But for me, the male parent of a child who's working 9 to 5 seems to be the only person hasn't been considered in this wokeism world that we're currently living in today. If we look at the LGBT plus Q, whatever it is, that thing, which I appreciate and understand everyone has a right to be who they want to be and how they want to be, I just feel that to a certain degree, we are the forgotten breed.
When you say we...
Men, middle-aged men. Middle-aged men who have worked hard, who are good parents, who would do everything for their children.
Do you think, though, that is the world saying, well, for years and years and years, hundreds of years, you, man, you kind of, it was a total opposite for you. You were.
It's like we've been punished for the last 100
But it's not we're being punished. It's the whole, well,
it's your turn now.
It's your turn now.
Yes.
And there is an element of that. But I do, and Serge's opinions are his opinions, not necessarily the opinions of me. But no, I do, we do live, the world constantly changes. We are living in a very different world than we were. I don't know where. Well, yeah, pandemic has got a lot to do with it, but it's not just the be all and end all. The whole world of LGBTQ, BL, CBD plus
CBD.
one.
I need a bit of that.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, if I take the divorce sort of bracket, a 1980s and 1970s divorce was a blame divorce. Now they've removed blame from the equation. But that doesn't necessarily mean that a man can move on with his life.
No.
So in my divorce, I've had to negotiate where the house has to be kept by my ex-wife for a period of time, and I can't get a mortgage because I have to rent. Mm-hmm. Now, in a modern world...
So that helps with the anger, doesn't it?
It fucking doesn't.
Okay, but very, very quickly...
The point I'm making... Sorry, just quickly.
Yeah, go on.
The point I'm making is that we're talking about a balanced world where we're trying to balance everybody. I feel that there's now an imbalance where men can't get their views across in a way that is sort of, coherent, I suppose. And I hope that I am being coherent in what I'm saying.
No, you are being coherent, and I agree with a lot of what you say. It's as simple as that.
Not everything.
No, not everything. No, but most stuff.
Yeah.
I know I do. Because I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Because it is still this, we'll say it 100 times, men don't fucking talk. Because we don't actually have anyone to really talk to. And it's still, men still put up this, well, yeah, all right, I see what you, come on, let's go fishing, let's go and play football. We still have this and do this, and we've got to change.
It's the same, going back to, and we're talking about a grief journey here, and I get that, and going back to that whole grief journey, having, you dealt with, Madeline's situation after, you found out she had leukemia and that sort of thing, and you obviously had a lot of anger towards the NHS, and what could you do? Not a lot. So you had anger on the back of that, I'm sure. It's the same for me. From my own experiences, when I was dealing with Maddie's schooling, and when I was dealing with Maddie's equipment and getting childcare allowance and carers allowance and all these other bits of help that I needed because I couldn't afford for her to provide for my family, and I'm working like a dog, which I'm using as a form of escapism anyway. I'm going from one hell of home to one hell of work. And, there are millions and millions of men out there who are suffering that same suffering every day. They are going through what I went through 10 years ago. They are going through the same journey at the moment. And that is what I'm saying. You don't have to, there are people out there like myself and Lee who have experienced what pain you guys are going through at the moment. And we can give advice, we can give guidance, and we can give support. And this is why we're doing this. We're doing this to try and make people see that, we're here. Look, I get that some people are bringing up children in same-sex marriages and all that sort of thing, and that's great. I haven't got an issue with any of that. But what I'm saying is there is a portion of society that I and Lee can relate to. I like to think it doesn't matter what creed you are,
no,
or what nationality you are, where you've come from. We are all in a system in this country, and unfortunately, it's a broken system. And it's very hard to fix because there's too many people involved in the system. There's too many people at the top level of the system taking home their money I'm talking six-figure money, six figures per annum, and that means that money, that 6 figures, is not being fed down to that family who have a child with complex needs, who needs to get help and support.
Yeah.
And the carers aren't getting the money, people aren't wanting to go into care work, and it's a whole domino effect. And that is part of our community that are silenced at the moment. But I've experienced it. Lee has experienced it. NHS cuts, maybe they would have spotted the leukemia earlier.
Well, they would have done.
The fact that they discovered it so quickly in another country said it all. And
Well,
that's where my anger is for you.
Well, the thing was with that is that's one of those silly little fucking annoying things after, is the fact that it was such a simple... She's an adult A&E. They should have just actually... I don't even know what they should have done. They should have gone, okay, guys, look, she's a child. Let's just check. Okay, yeah, right. Let's get her through to paediatric A&E, to the Packer unit. Let's get her through there now. They can deal with her because... And they didn't. And that's just one little link in the chain. They didn't. And that link...
Was the key to your anger.
That's one of the biggest...
And do you know the key to my anger? The key to my anger was when they diagnosed Maddie, because I know it could have been avoided by the NHS if they'd done their job properly.
And this isn't unique. No, our case is not.
No.
You hear it all the bloody time.
And you go through legal dialogue, and you get nowhere. Because you have to pay money. And guess what? They cut legal aid.
Well, and even then, we wouldn't have been entitled to legal aid because we probably had more than about £30 in savings. Whatever. I was obviously being slightly flippant, but the threshold of that is, and therefore, oh no, it doesn't matter that you can't afford the thousands. No, you've got savings. Sorry,
it's
you get
outside.
no legal aid.
It's outside influences.
Yeah,
it's outside influences, and they pay. They pick up a case every now and then, and that's great for awareness. But
when you say they pick up a case, who's they?
The media.
Right. So on that, what you're talking about. When you say the media pick up on a case...
They pick up on a cerebral palsy story or a malpractice story or whatever it is. They pick up on a story and it gets big media coverage. There was the one recently where they didn't want to kill, wrong word. There was a case recently...
I know exactly who you mean.
Where they didn't believe the boy was brain dead. I was hitting my head against a brick wall because I'm saying, I've been through that and I know when enough is enough.
Okay,
and,
okay.
And
it
was like,
so
the media was fueling it.
Right, well, of course they are. It's not like they are. That's exactly what they are. Any media story like that, you want to sell papers. That's their job, is to sell papers. And if they've got a story like that, it's like, I don't want to dwell on that particular story that much because I have my views,
but
I'm sure you have...
Our stories are everyday stories.
Yes.
And and I know we've got to finish now. From an everyday story, it's really important that those stories are heard as well. And our stories are no different to hundreds of other stories out there.
I just want to ask one thing before we do sort of think about wrapping up this particular one. So anger, right?
Yeah. Grr.
Anger.
Grr. Sorry.
We need to do a thing on bad dad jokes because I think he'll laugh at every single one. But is it?
I tell most of them.
Yeah. Is it wrong
to be angry?
Yeah. People
would say it was.
Why?
In a society, please calm down. In the call centre.
No, okay, yeah. I won't be spoken to like that. But is that okay? But as part of a grieving process, or as part of a man who is suffering, whether it's depression or it's loss or okay, maybe that's not the right. But let's say in grief and in loss, is anger a bad thing? Or is it just part of it?
I think anger stems from blame, and another form of grief is blame. I'm assuming, right? And I don't believe that there are books on stages of grief, and I believe that there are more stages of grief than people probably say. I think blame and anger are two separate things. Then blame then leads to anger. You want to blame someone for my daughter passing. You then get angry when you don't get a response that you want to hear.
But these are just emotions that anyone would feel like if someone comes along and smashes the windscreen of your car for no reason. You're going to be angry.
Yeah.
But with that, surely for men, being angry or as part of the process, you need to have that to help
to drive you.
You need to have anger as part of your grieving process to help you learn and move through the process.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have it, you're stuck in one place.
If you don't have anger, in my opinion, you don't have motivation. If you don't have motivation, then you might as well just give up.
And you've got to have it to grow, as I say, the calluses, the mental calluses on your body, that you can experience it. And I'm angry, I'm dealing with it, whatever the dealing with it is. And I acknowledge I'm angry, whether I work through it or not work. Otherwise, you'll be in, which is why we have to talk about being angry, because we all get angry. I do get angry a lot, but yeah, depends. Good days, bad days, definitely. Yeah.
So I think, as I said, I don't think we've even really touched the surface of anger today. And
I think when we speak to more people,
when we
it
get
will
people
be.
in, it's going to be one of the questions we definitely ask people, because I do feel that we all have some form of blame in a situation. It doesn't matter how one's lost a child or how a diagnosis has come about. There's going to be a level of blame, and that's going to lead to anger. And we've brushed on a lot of topics today, but I think that we sort of certainly filled up the ammunition to sort of get people firing with their own stories. And hopefully in the coming weeks we're going to be introducing people onto this podcast because
we don't want everyone to just listen to us the whole time.
We don't want to be ranting like this. It's not healthy for us. Well,
it
is actually healthy for me.
I
feel fucking great.
Yeah, but I do want other people, because I think it will help me as well.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully it will help them. But I do want to, as other people, it's very important.
Absolutely.
It's very important, yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure today. I said it at the beginning of this conversation, an absolute joy having you with me.
Joy?
A joy, I know, to share a
It's
room
been
with
good.
you.
We're in, the thing is with you and I is that we're in a space where we can both be...
honest.
Honest, really, really honest. And we're on the same page, which any man in our position, to know that you're with someone that's on the same page, whether they're angry or not angry,
I think you just used the word, page, and I think that's important, because we are an open book, and I'd like to think that there are many other men out there who also want to be open books. So let's get men talking, because I do believe, and Lee believes, that men do talk.
Yeah, we do.
Goodbye.
Bye.